Well, hi everyone, and today Buffett and Beyond Research brings you the ETF report for May 11, 2024, and we're going over the top stocks in the Home Builders ETF. And folks, this is part of the way that we select stocks after we go through all the numbers. Here's the Home Builders, and this is what we've been doing over the past 6 months or so. And XHB is the Home Builders that we're using. It's a Spider S&P Home Builders. And as interest rates went down and everybody was excited about the Fed lowering interest rates, we had a beautiful, beautiful run in here. Then interest rates started going up when we figured out that inflation, or the market figured out that inflation was not quite dead yet. And then we are starting this rally that we started about a week and a half ago. So anyway, that's where we were for the past 6 months, but we're not worried about the past 6 months. We want to look at the XHB and how it did relative to the S&P 500 over the past 1 year. Now, the key to picking good stocks that outperform not only their own ETF or index, but also the S&P 500, because remember, over any 10-year period, 96% of professional money managers who manage the publicly traded mutual funds cannot outperform this black line right in here. So we want to pick stocks also from ETFs that outperform the S&P 500, but we might as well pick them from ETFs that are themselves outperforming the S&P 500, and then pick the best stocks from that ETF in order to outperform not only the ETF but also the S&P 500. So let's look at the XHB over 5 years, and I want to show you something here that's pretty neat, because the Home Builders, I stayed away from the Home Builders for a long time just because they are cyclical. So what I wanted to do was measure some of the cyclicality, and is it worth it to handle those stocks or put them in a portfolio that we've made up out of the tech, the semiconductor, and some other outlying stocks that we like, and build our own portfolio. And a couple of the Home Builders stocks kept showing up. So I said, hey, we have to add some of those, and let's look at the whole index itself and see what's going on. But I wanted to measure some of the volatility. So this is 2022, and it was just a terrible year for the market. It was the year the market said we're going to go into a recession because the Fed was raising interest rates. So the market went down, and we measured it just for 2022, and this mustard colored line is the XHB, the Home Builders ETF that we're using. So the S&P went down 19.4%, and the XHB went down 29.6%. Now, also, what I'm not showing you is the NASDAQ and the QQQs went down about 34% during this time. All right, let's take 2023, because now we're coming out of this recessionary period, and we had a good year. S&P was up 24%, XHB doubling that, more than doubling that, up 58%. And the QQQs were up about 53%, a little less than the XHB. So that's, and then don't forget the QQQs are the top 100 stocks in the NASDAQ, and they contain the semiconductors and tech stocks. But the top stocks that we picked out of the QQQs were up 97.9%. No, folks, we have never reached that 100% level. So the top stocks that we picked were up 97.9%. So more volatility on the downside, much more volatility to the upside, which is good, and it's good volatility. So anyway, that's where we are with the XHB. And of course, the XHB Home Builders, folks, the population keeps expanding. We need more homes. And if you live in an area that I live in, I tell you what, they come, and that's in Florida, people come down and they say, yeah, I just sold my place up in New York City or Chicago, and come down here, and things are cheap relative to the cities, and especially think of San Francisco, think of some of the places in LA. So they come down here and they say, yeah, I like that spot near the ocean. I hate the house. I'm going to tear the house down and build a new house. And so when we look at the home builders, not only are they building to increase because of the increased population, but they're building because, number one, houses get old and they fall down, so you have to replace houses. And then you have people that have a lot of money that come down and say, tear it down. That's a perfectly good house, not big enough, whatever. It doesn't have as many stories as I want, so I could see the ocean, and on and on. So you have that group of people that are tearing down houses that are perfectly good. So when you think about the home builders, they have jobs, folks. They're going to be around as long as society is around. So when we look at the 5 years, we can see that the home builders are outperforming the S&P 500 by more than double, a little bit more than double. So we will look at this volatility to the downside, but don't forget, we know how to use hedges. All right, let's look at the best stocks. Now, this is after we've gone over all the numbers. We've gone over the clean surplus ROE. We figured all that out. We took it from the computer. We checked on the numbers, and we said, okay, what are the best stocks in this XHB? So we picked a bunch of the best stocks, and how have they done over the past 1 year? And we look at some of these stocks, and we have Williams-Sonoma up here. We have installed building products here, and TT, which is Train Technology. I mean, really, who heard of that? A couple of people have. I know I have. And then we have TPX, which is Tempur Sealy. I believe those are the mattress people, right? And what else do we have? We have Carrier, which is the new company and calls itself, it was Carrier Air Conditioner, and we all remember that, but now they're calling themselves Carrier Global Corporation because they're involved in smart homes and smart houses. We will keep an eye on this because for 1 year it's performed as well as the S&P 500, but we want stocks that outperform the S&P 500. So let's go to the good stocks over 5 years, and it's those same stocks again. So we are looking at Williams-Sonoma up here. Here's Carrier, and you can see Carrier in this past year has remained relatively flat. I mean, it's gone up, it's gone down, it's gone up, it's gone down a little bit, and now it's up here doing very, very well, but it has done that in the past. So, okay, we kind of like Carrier now. And there's the installed building products, the stock that we love. And then down here is that TPX, which is the mattress company. Tempur Sealy International is the name of the company. And then we have Train down here. So let's look at the next group of stocks, because what did I give you? Just 5 stocks or so. So let's look at the next group of stocks, which all have good ROEs, and even Lowe's is in here, so you recognize that. And we have this company called, well, the stock symbol is BLD, but it is Top Build Corporation. Okay, who ever heard of them? I didn't, and now look where they are over 1 year. Oh my gosh. And here's CSL. Now this is the second group of stocks, don't forget. So here's CSL, and it is Carlisle Companies. Well, we've all heard of Carlisle. And then down here you have Masco Corporation, you have Home Depot. Look at Home Depot over 5 years. And folks, we are thinking of taking this stock out of our portfolio. It's in more than one portfolio for us. And here's Lowe's down here. So you can see Home Depot and Lowe's are now starting to fall by the wayside. They're just too big and they're not expanding anymore. So the market doesn't care for them. And we're looking at the same group over 5 years. And here's that BLD once again, and here is Carlisle down here. But now this is the second group of stocks, and this stock keeps popping up called Builder or Top Build, and it's in the building supply, home building supply, and for 1 year and 5 years it's been doing very, very well. So it's a stock that maybe we might have been missing all along here. Now, let's go to the final group and see how it's done relative to our final group of stocks. So, in other words, we looked at the first group of stocks that we had and how did they do relative to the XHB. So we narrowed that original group down, and we still have Carrier down here, but we know that Carrier performs over 5 years. And up here we have the top build. We have Install Building Products, which is the blue line. And then we have this stock build. And here's Williams-Sonoma all the way up here, which is not in any of our portfolios. And folks, I'll tell you what, looking at it from here, it's going to be. We're going to put it someplace. And let's look at the final group over 5 years. And they are all, this group of 4 stocks is just rocking it over 5 years. So we have 5 stocks here. Well, maybe there's one more stock, folks, so let's take a further look. But anyway, before we go there, we have 4 stocks, and we've just been looking at Carrier over the past couple of weeks. Install Building Products we looked at over the past month or 2 now, and we're definitely going to add these stocks. And now we have the top build, and we have Williams-Sonoma that we're looking at. Now, let's add another stock, and you're going to see why we didn't put it in, because this is Williams-Sonoma down here, and this is Advanced Drainage Systems, which I looked at a couple of months ago, and I said, how come I didn't put it in this list? And I may have mistook the stock symbol WMS for WSM. You can see how we can get mixed up, but I put it in over 5 years, and folks, look at this. So we have Williams-Sonoma right here, and then we have the Advanced Drainage System right up here. I think we should change that stock symbol, or they should, because it got us mixed up a little bit. So now we have 5 stocks that are totally outperforming the XHB. And don't forget, this XHB that we're looking at here totally outperforms the S&P 500. So we have to realize what we're measuring against all the time, because when I measure stocks against it, the top stock or the top index is always in a black line, and we'll mix that up with the S&P 500 sometimes. But here is the home builders right here. The S&P 500 is down in here somewhere, and look at these top 5 stocks, folks. So we're going to find places in our portfolio for these stocks. IBP we've been putting in, Carrier we are just thinking about it, but here we are with Top Build and Williams-Sonoma down here and Advanced Drainage Systems up here. So we're looking at some good stocks in here, folks. And if you want to look at Advanced Drainage System over 1 year, which I didn't show, here we are, and here's the XHB. So over 1 year, and then over 5 years, we are looking at a very, very good stock here. So folks, we had a pretty good week this week. The rally continues on. We think we're going to get a lull in the rally because we are overbought short term, but we think there's a lot to go in this rally. I think we're going to have a rally for most of the summer. We'll have a drawback. We have to test that 50-day moving average because we went through it on the upside in the S&P and the QQQs and the Dow, went through it. Now we have to come back and test it, and if that test is successful, we're going to just have a nice summer. We'll be at the beach all summer. We'll be in the woods. We'll be by the lake, and we don't have to worry about the market, in my opinion. But looking ahead, even 5 minutes in the market can be dangerous. So just take it with a grain of salt, but the charts are looking pretty good, folks. And the specter of the Federal Reserve reducing interest rates, because we have a big budget that's coming up. The government has been spending money and they have to refinance that, and we think we're going to see lowering interest rates, and the reports are starting to come in where the economy's slowing, and the Fed does not want us to go into recession. So we see lowering interest rates coming, just might be a little bit longer than we thought. Folks, go out, enjoy the weekend, forget the markets, because guess what? It'll be here in another couple of days. And folks, we'll be right here beside you in the coming week. All right, folks, see you next time. Stay safe.